Facebook goes meta, but is YouTube killing the future?
Is your strategy ready for all of this that we're about to talk about today on Breakfast and Combos? Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Liberty White.
And I'm T. Adeola, digital marketing expert. So we have much to discuss, Liberty, much to discuss. So for those of you in the digital marketing and media space like we are, welcome, as well as just the general person who might have heard, Facebook just rebranded. They are now Meta, right? And you can kind of see this coming because it's not unusual for an embattled company that is just beleaguered by scandal after scandal after scandal to rebrand. It's a classic PR move, right? So
So T,
value jet.
can I jump in
Rebrand.
just for one moment before you get, because that's what we do on Breakfast and Combos. We break it down, and today we're breaking down all the elements of what has happened in the past week and going even further. But I just wanted to point out all the marketing groups were just like, I don't know which ones that you are a part of, but I'm pretty sure that they were going ham on
Mhm.
Facebook and really diving into like, but really Facebook Meta? And I want to go back to you. I had to put that haha out there because Facebook's so meta. Like this is so meta.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just
Yeah. No, that was a great call out. And like I said, it's a classic PR move because Value Jet rebranded to what was it, Airtran, back in '96 after one of their planes crashed, and then Philip Morris, the maker of Marlboro cigarettes, they rebranded to Altaria, which that doesn't even mean anything because they wanted to get away from all of the bad press and cigarettes and all that good stuff. So yeah, Facebook is now Meta. And the PR move aside, this was very strategic on Facebook's part because they have had some very public falling outs with the other FANG companies. So FANG is an acronym that stands for Facebook, Apple, Amazon, and Google, four of the five most valuable companies in the world. And those four by themselves, if companies were countries, they'd be the third largest country in the world. However, it's not all smooth sailing in paradise. Facebook has had a very public falling out with Apple over iOS 14 and all of the other subsequent updates, with put a dent in the way that Facebook's business model works, as well as Google deprecating third-party cookies. That got kicked down the road, but that is also going to take a hit on Facebook's bottom line. And so from my perspective, Liberty, and I'm curious to hear yours, they were just tired of being beholden to Apple and Google, because Facebook gets most of its money from mobile devices, right? It's a mobile first company. And
yeah.
so whatever Android and iOS do directly impacts Facebook in a major way. And they're like, you know what? You've made it very clear that you don't necessarily care what happens to us. So we're looking toward the future. And so they want to be that gateway into the metaverse that's not dependent on iOS or Android, or at least that's my take on it. How do you view things?
Yeah. So for those of you who you've heard it, you saw this like Facebook renaming or rebranding, just to break that down even a step further is to add to the fact that so Facebook, the social media site, like that's still there. So that's we're not going to see any, because for some of you might have, because when I first heard it, I was like, so we're now looking for the infinite. There was just so many marketing things I was going down of like,
Right.
how are they really going to do that? So it's not the social media platform. That still remains the same. What it is the parent company, much like Google did becoming Alphabet
Mhm.
in that regards. And so my thoughts, it was interesting with even the symbol that they chose. Like it was, if you really dig deep in it, it's like, so Facebook's basically saying, well, metaverse, meta,
Mhm.
that we're going to be here forever. Like you're not. That's what I looked at, even going even further, just even them choosing that symbol and the fact that they do, and let's give them some flowers to that. They do play in so many different sectors. They are not just, they started as a social media company, but then they have evolved. They've got Oculus. Like, there's just so many pillars to who they are, and all the acquisitions, and even the acquisitions that we probably haven't even heard of. It's actually not a bad move.
The timing is very thinly veiled, though. Like, it makes sense, and you can explain it away that, and you did that eloquently. And they probably should have paid you for that. So, hopefully the check's in the mail.
The checks
But
in the
yeah,
mail,
the
yes.
timing of it was just very thinly veiled, in my opinion. But when you're that large, excuse me, you don't necessarily need to worry about things like that, right? But my issue with Meta and just social media in general is that from a strategic standpoint, it tends to have people focusing on the wrong thing. And here's what I mean by that. So I'm
Because
quickly
I was
going
gonna
to
say houseway.
nice. I like what you did there. So real quick, I'm going to share my screen, and this is from our friends over at Mac Keeper. And Mac Keeper did a really great job with some visuals. So, as I said previously, if companies were countries and market cap was GDP, which is essentially the same measure, like how valuable are you? Apple is more valuable than 96% of the world. So look at this image.
One more
Everyone
time.
in dark gray,
96% of the
96%
world.
of the world. It's more valuable than. Microsoft is bigger than Canada. So everybody in orange is smaller than Microsoft. Matt Keeper didn't do an image for Google for whatever reason, but Amazon, everybody in dark, I'm sorry, everybody in orange is smaller than Amazon, right? And they actually, of course, and then you have Facebook way down here, which they're larger than Turkey and everybody else who's smaller than Turkey. So everybody in dark blue is smaller than Turkey. But for those who need it in a chart form, right? So if companies were countries and market cap was GDP, Apple would be the 8th largest country in the world with a market cap greater than the GDP of Italy, right? Amazon would be number 15 with a market cap greater than the GDP of South Korea. Google or Alphabet would be number 17 with a market cap greater than Australia. And then Facebook is all the way toward the bottom of the list, which is relative because it's still a huge list, with a market cap greater than the GDP of Turkey and right behind oil rich Saudi Arabia. And the reason I frame the conversation this way is because you let some people tell the story. And I've had clients come to me and it's all about social media. I want social media this, social media that. And it's like, wait, pump your brakes. Let's take a step back and actually figure out, okay, what are your business objectives?
Right.
What are we trying to achieve? Where does your traffic come from? Because and this varies by vertical, but it's like, okay, well, if 70% of your traffic or your form fields or whatever are coming from Google, then we focus on Google, which, by the way, is 4 times the size of Facebook. So even though Facebook stays in the headlines and it gets all of this, media coverage for all the scandals, relatively speaking, it's the smaller of the 4. Now, all of them are gargantuan. These are huge, but just to put things in context, of those 4 companies, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, and Google, Facebook or Meta is the smallest. It is the smallest of the 4. Apple's way bigger than Facebook. So is Google, and so is Amazon. All right. And I'm stepping off my milk box, stepping off my
But
soapbox.
those facts, like when you put those comparisons, and that's what we try to do when we have these conversations, is because for those that might not be in this marketing space, but this still impacts their bottom line, to really look at that, to your point of, okay, well, let's start and let's see where your audience is. Like, where do you currently have traffic? Because if you have traffic on LinkedIn, but you're pumping all this money into Facebook ads, like there's a disconnect. And when you do put it in perspective of, okay, Facebook being where they rank, like that ranking is important as well. So I think that is just a shout out to UT, that is in, that is important. And going back to what you said about just the timing of this happening, I remember reading somewhere, it might have been in one of the groups that I was in, and they were just questioning, to your point, of the timing. But in making this announcement, like, you couldn't pay for that PR. You could not pay for that level of PR. So a very calculated, I still will say, like, smart move, but a very calculated move.
Oh, they're no dummies by far. Now we can go back and forth as to whether or not they're evil, but they are smart. Right? They're definitely smart. And something that also that I want to put on people's radar is, in addition to, Google being 4 times the size of Facebook, Google also owns YouTube, which some people know, but a lot of people don't. Google
Right.
owns YouTube, and YouTube is the world's second largest search engine in the world behind its parent company, Google. And that, you heard right. YouTube is a search engine. It befuddles a lot of people, and they get a lot confused because of the content format. They tend to view video through the lens of entertainment. It's like, yes, that's also true. It's not an either or sort of thing. It's both and. But understand that, first things first, YouTube is a search engine, and YouTube is really the center of gravity of the creator economy, and they're really the ones that brought this new category into the mainstream. And YouTube did a study with Oxford Economics, and the YouTube partner program supports 2 million creators, and to the tune of about 400,000 full-time jobs, and it contributes
Ooh.
30 billion with a B to creators, artists, and media corporations over the past few years. And just over the last year, in 2020, YouTube contributed $20 billion with a B to the United States GDP, and that is up 23% from 2019. Right. And just for context, YouTube is the foundation of the creator economy. They've had their creator program since 2007. Right. And it's to the point where being a creator is now a legitimate trade, and folks aspire to this, which brings me to the intro that I said, but is YouTube killing the future? Because liberty. And I want your opinion about this as a parent, because I'm sort of on the fence. There are now 3 times as many children, according to a study by Lego and Harris Poll. 3 times as many children ages 18 to 12 want to be YouTubers than astronauts.
I have
I don't know
nieces
how I feel
and
about that.
nephews and family members, like, when you ask, because when I will either speak to a classroom and, icebreakers of what do you plan to do after you graduate, or what do you want to be when you grow up, and that's where I want to be. There's the YouTuber. We had Asante a couple episodes back talking about esports. They want to be a gamer. So that very front facing part of the creator economy, and it's probably another show of where we talk about all the elements on the back end of the production and the technology and the app development. I think that it speaks to where our world is going, especially in light of what's taken place in the past, almost 2 years with the pandemic, and the need for, like, content goes hand in hand now with business and with sales, marketing, even education. So I would say that I don't necessarily see an immediate problem in it with it, but what is necessary is for there to be some infrastructure and us preparing kids for, because everybody, I remember in when I was in Dallas and I was in the part of the NABJ DFW ABC journalism workshop, and I will never forget, this
That's
is
a whole
Bridget
lot of
Lewis.
acronyms you
It,
just
it
threw out.
really
That
was.
was a bunch of alphabet soup. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like D F W G J
Dallas
O.
Fort
Oh,
Worth. Yes, it was.
okay.
a whole bunch. It would take me even longer to say it all out, but I will never forget Emmy Award winning producer Bridget Lewis, and she came to our class and she said that she was a producer, news producer, and she said that everybody wants to be in front of the camera, but the real power is behind the camera. That was
Mm,
2003.
that's strong.
Clearly, like, while I, yes, am here, but T knows, like, I am typically, where I love to be is behind the scenes, because it's true, the real power is being able to produce, building those partnerships. Like, so going back to your original question of like, how do I feel about this, that kids wanting to be there, I'll pulling on some Morpheus here, like it's inevitable, because it is. Sorry, I shouldn't have laughed at my own joke like that. But it's where we are. It's where we're going, but it's now our responsibility to reroute that. So when we see places like NASA, where they're doing all these launches, I don't think I have been, like, even some of these tech groups, and we have these watch parties where we're watching them to produce these live streams. Like, as parents, as educators, we can then curve that and re-engage our kids in other ways in the area of like this content creation part. That was really long
No, you're
answer.
fine. I'm actually gonna turn my ring light off because I'm about to go real like this makes the father in me very sad. Like I get what you're going and I hear you,
Yeah,
but that's only applicable if we actually do it. And
very
I
true.
don't think that we will, or at least I'm cynical about that because, as I said previously, because of the format befuddles people. People view
Mm,
video through the lens of entertainment. So you have more people trying to entertain than educate or is aspire or inspire or all of the different no, it's all about how can I get the most views. It shifts
shock
people's
value.
folk shock value
Right.
and they want numbers. They want vanity metrics that may or may not have any business value.
Very
Because I
true.
mean, we had this conversation like, I don't want to be famous. I have no desire to have general fame and not be able to go to the grocery store and pick up a protein shake without being mobbed by a bunch of people. Like Will Smith, everybody wants to be Will Smith. Will Smith can't go nowhere alone. He cannot go pick up his kids from daycare. He can't do
Right.
anything. I mean, they're grown now, but you get my point,
Right.
right? I want to be known for what I want to be known for, but be free to just, if I want to shop, if I want to go on vacation, like nobody's like somebody like Seth Godin. Seth Godin is a bona fide goat in the digital marketing space. But if you're not a digital marketer, you have no frigging clue
Right. He just
who
walked
Seth
right by
Godin is,
and
and
just
he's
the
free to live
bald guy
his
with the
life.
glasses. Yeah.
Yeah, he's free to live his life. And so, yeah, you make some very great points, but and I'm gonna turn my ring light back on so I'm not so dark anymore. But I don't think or I'm skeptical if that's actually going to happen because there's this old saying, and then I'll shut up and we'll get to the next point, that marketers ruin everything. And that comes from and there's a
Mm,
reason that cliche came to be. The older I get, the more I come to realize that cliches are cliches for a reason. And there's a there and marketers ruin everything because at the end of the day, it's our job to follow the eyeballs, which
yeah,
brings us to our next segment, which is live stream shopping, which I'm actually really, really excited for because for
me
those who
too.
don't know, in Asia, in China specifically, they tend to be a bit more ahead of the United States in terms of just general
A bit is
technology
an
adoption.
understatement.
Yeah, just general technology adoption in general, like Asia's way ahead of us. So they've been had live stream shopping. But on November 15th, so just a few days from this airing of this episode, YouTube is doing a live stream shopping, which I know is just, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna let the actual video marketing expert have her way. But yeah, this was very intriguing to me.
Yeah, I'm excited. So let's back it up a smidge of just the root of live stream I shouldn't say live streaming, but shopping overall is, we've got the QVCs and even the late night network. So it's the shopping and the entertainment or the retail value of like watching it on television. That's not new. But then the integration and how it's now become more and more prominent, that is something that there's really a race for it, because we
Hmm.
look at, and to your point, T, so thank you for like all of those. There are a number of apps. I think it's Pop Shop Live is one that I've got on my phone, from because I try to keep abreast of this ever since I saw in 2017 when Instagram went integrated that live feature. I said like, oh, it's over. I really thought that we would have seen more live stream shopping come through Instagram than we have. And I'm just putting that out there into the world, just calling it as it is, because that's where we even did some programming called like the Holiday Rundown, where we would live stream from stores. And I really thought that we would see more traction with that. However, again, going back to the pandemic, going back to Amazon Live, which that debuted in 2019. Oh, sorry, yes, 2019. So that once that broke out, everybody else, was to the races.
Hmm.
And even during the pandemic, a lot of small businesses, that's how they were able to survive, was through creating these live stream broadcasts where they were showing their products and their demos and engaging and doing purchasing through excuse me. I'm so excited that I
No
just
worries.
tapped out there.
I
But
almost did
yes.
that myself. I was able to keep it together. That's one of the benefits of having like a raspy voice. So you can sort of go down a register if you need to, and just sort of act like you putting the Barry White on them real quick when really you just choking. Yeah. And I feel you. I feel you on that. It's because again, I'm not all gloom and doom. Like I'm not the bad cop. We're both pretty cheery when it comes to this. But yes, this is at the end of the day, we live in a capitalistic society and we are in the business to make money. This is not a charity. And so the YouTube stream and shop on November 15th is going to be a week long streaming event where you watch creators and you can actually purchase things in app, as Liberty was alluding to. And this is really again, this is actually really mature over in Asia, and it's coming to the United States. As Liberty said, probably should have come to the United States a little bit sooner, but all things happen in its time. And YouTube is by far the most popular live streaming platform in the United
Yep.
States, period. Like we watch more live on YouTube than any place else. People who watch YouTube frequently, they're accustomed to seeing things on live. And now YouTube has a lot more ad formats that just enable that and make that transition a little bit smoother.
So let's start connecting the dots, because this is what I appreciate about UT is like, okay, we've shared it, but now let's connect the dots. So we've got the second largest search engine in the world that
Mhm.
has now, and they haven't rolled it out to everyone just yet. So they're still just testing it with a group of creators. So, but we've got some influencers. So we've got the second largest. We've got the search engine creators and influencers on YouTube. And think about it. When the last time that you needed to figure out how something was working, where did you go?
YouTube, and you typed in what? How to. That's what you did.
And so now when people are also looking for, because what they found even on Amazon is people are price checking. So they'll use Amazon to price check. So if we tie into all of these things of the how to, the live streaming, trusted voices being the creators, being the influencers, and we bring that all together with YouTube's live streaming, like LinkedIn, who knows if everybody will have that, but it's something for your business and or brand to look into to see, should we be paying attention to this new format that is really not only engaging, but it's really training people on how to shop.
And
So
not to go
now,
too meta, it's to your
yes,
point. See what I did there? But
yes, I did.
it's lower funnel. because traditionally when you talk about YouTube strategy, YouTube has been seen as more of an upper funnel thing. So in marketing, we have a concept known as a funnel, where at the top you have awareness, consideration, the purchase, and then loyalty at the bottom. And YouTube was really viewed through the same lens as television, which is upper funnel. Because again, like I said before, the format befuddles people. It befuddles people. And now YouTube is actually saying with these shoppable, no, we're full funnel. We're lower funnel as well, because if you convert off of a live stream, and YouTube has also partnered with Nielsen for some CTV or connected TV measurement, that's full funnel, baby. So as Liberty just said, it's conditioning people to not only shop, but now it's not just an upper funnel thing, it's full funnel. And that, to Liberty's point, connects the dots and brings everything full circle. So I know I tend to harp on YouTube a lot, but I think it's the most juicy, lowest hanging fruit ever, and people just miss it.
Sleeping on it.
They
Super
miss it because
facts.
everybody wants to talk about Facebook. Everybody wants to talk about Meta. Everybody wants to do that. And to the extent that they do talk about YouTube, they talk about it wrong. They talk about it through the lens of entertainment. Not that there's anything wrong with
Right.
entertaining people, but
And
as like, people, come on now.
right. And the entertainment part, and just like creator driven, when you can be a B2B company and still be able to create content, because people, if
Hello,
there's any
HubSpot.
ever a time, say it again, sorry.
I said, hello, HubSpot.
Yes, if there's ever a time in the world, people are looking for information. So again, just the way that you'll be able to convert, whether with your product awareness, brand awareness, the information, I am marking November 15th on my calendar so that I will be able to watch. And I think, is it an all days 8-hour live stream that they have?
Yeah. Well,
That they have.
the whole event is going to be a week long, but
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
the initial one I believe is going to be 8 hours solid, but it's going to be a week long thing. Oh, now it's my turn to choke. Hold on, sorry.
But this is a good segue to just in saying this full funnel concept. But if even live stream shopping, the idea of that is foreign, this might be the first time, let us know in the comments below if that's the case. But we want to get into our segment where we talk about the breakdown, where we take a concept and break it down into tangible ways that you will be able to use that as a part of your marketing mix. And we'll get into it here. And we are talking about live streaming and retailing. So, why, and looking back at where it is, hold on one moment there. Here it is. That's it. 3 keys to live stream shopping for events. Now, number one is you want to find an engaging host. So often it's the simplest thing, but it's often overlooked because you're looking for someone who is able to think on their feet if something happens. Because remember, this is not pre-produced. You are going live, and there is the option of actually recording it and then pushing it out live, but that's a whole other conversation. So you want someone who is able to ask great questions, who knows how to take cues on cue. And so making sure that you've got a host who knows what they are doing. Then making sure that you're number two, showing the product in action, because people are here. You can easily put out product videos, but the idea is to create this live stream experience. So it's not just this live, it's a live event, and events have to have some sort of pull and some sort of draw. And that's what we see when Apple does their announcements. Like, it is an experience, a huge event where they are not only educating us, but they're showing the products in action, because ultimately that's going to drive sales, especially if you have your target audience engaged. Next, make it easy to buy. And that's the reason why we see platforms like an Amazon. I didn't get a chance to talk about Network, and that's NTWRK, but that's a mobile app, and they're targeting more so the Gen Z on the millennial audience. But it's because it is in app. while you're watching the stream, it is easy to convert. You don't need to go to a laptop, or you need to go anywhere else. You can do that. So, however it is, whether that be having a community manager or somebody in chat where you're dropping links so that people can easily buy, or is there an email marketing sequence that is tied into this event so that if someone sees something, because the worst thing that you could do is have this amazing event, but then now as your consumer is ready to make a purchase, that there's a struggle. That's just poor customer service from that point on. And the
Mm-hmm.
bonus, because there's always a bonus, make it entertaining. Again, going back to the idea that this is an experience, like people are here because they're excited about either your host or the guests or some elements of it. But don't just go live and just talk about yourselves. Like, engage, whether that be, if appropriate, if it's having games or having polling, but just the different elements that you can include to make it an overall experience. So those were our 3 tips plus a bonus of how to get started with live stream shopping. Boom.
Bam. Well said. Well said. I'm going dark again. I'll turn the off just to sort of do a walk off. But yes, this has been an amazing conversation. We hope that we gave you some very tangible things to the best way to think about strategy and just the goings on. And, pop in the chat, or the comments what your favorite part was, and again, talk to us. Let us know, are there other topics in the future you want us to cover? This just so happens to be Liberty's bread and butter, so we did not have to go out and get a guest. But if you want to
And
talk to
great
somebody,
on
let
your
us know. We'll
NT
go out and
for
bag them.
Yeah, great on your part of bringing it together, because we are in the middle of the holiday, getting into the holiday season. And this is important for companies that are looking to just tying this all together. Should we be on YouTube and the perception of YouTube? So kudos to you on that. And please be sure to sign up for our mailing list, where we'll send show notes and share all that we have as it relates to marketing, media, and technology. Thanks so much for watching, and we will catch you next week.